Hello and welcome to Mee Gindys.
And for the first part of today's programme, we're going to look back at the Hop Tuné special where we spent the night at Milntown. We're going to listen to some of the recordings that we got when we left a recorder in one of the top rooms and speak to Charles Guard, who is obviously very familiar with Milntown, and see, is it really haunted?
Ooh. And yeah, I have to say it was a really entertaining night at the end of the day. It was something I was written about in Mank's Life, saying I've always fancied the idea of staying in a haunted house, and it's not the easiest thing to do because you have to find a haunted house, you have to have permission to go there, someone to hold your hand, all the rest of it, because you just don't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. I don't think any of us did, but Milntown has the reputation, rightly or wrongly, for being the most haunted house on the island.
And Charles Guard is chair of the Board of Trustees for the Milntown estate, and Charles is with us now. How convinced are you, Charles, that Milntown is really haunted?
I'm totally convinced, and I have to compliment you all on spending the night there. People say to me, have I ever done it? There's no way I would spend the night there alone. I know there were a number of you, but I think you were very brave. There's nothing to fear except fear itself, they say, and I do often think when I go up to the top of the house all alone, am I going to see or hear something? We all have seen things and heard things.
So you've seen apparitions there?
I have, not apparitions, it's one of these things where out of the corner of your eye you see something and your mind immediately gives you a rational explanation, somebody walking past all the windows, and then a second later you think, actually, how could that be? There isn't anybody there, and you go and check it, and it's gone. And you can't bring it back and you can't explain it. More worryingly are the sounds, and all the staff who work there permanently have had experiences of footsteps. They've actually seen the carpet being depressed as though something was coming towards them, and one of the staff left the building immediately as a result. Our gardener, Adam, who, as you know, is a really solid sort of down-to-earth guy, he said to me one day, he said, I was in here working last night till 9 o'clock, and he said, my God, it's a noisy house, isn't it? All those footsteps running around. Quite matter of fact, you know. And I'm thinking, well, I would have left.
Well, we're going to hear some of the noises that were recorded when we left a recorder on its own in one of the top rooms. But Chris Pearson is also with us, and you spent the night with us. And Chris, you now have the accolade, we believe, of being one of the most bravest people in the world ever.
Or slightly mad.
Stupid, I think it is.
Because
the phrase.
You slept in possibly one of the most haunted rooms.
Which, to be honest, I didn't know at the time because I'd missed that bit of the tour when we arrived. I may not have been as brave had I known that. But, I did stay in... Which room was it I stayed in, Charles?
It was the green bedroom above the library, yes.
So I stayed there, and all I know is it was very cold during the night. And I assumed that the whole house was cold and that the heating had gone off. And it was only in the morning when I got up and opened the door and realised the rest of the house was actually really warm. It's like a greenhouse. I went back in, and you guys came up, and it was actually Adam then told us afterwards that at some point a scientific team had put thermometers into every room in the house, and the temperatures in all of the rooms were within a degree or so exactly the same, but that room always feels colder, apparently. I can vouch that. And the heating was on in there.
It was. The radiators were on, which was quite unusual. OK, so we're going to hear some of the noises now. I think it's fair to say, before we downloaded what was recorded on this recorder, Chris, I think it's fair to say it would have been very inconclusive as to whether we felt we'd experienced anything.
Yeah, because as you were saying a moment ago, it's, is it in mind, and the heating will creak and rattle. It's an old house and floorboards will move. But I think this went, so just to give you some indication, this was on the third floor. I left a digital recorder in there, set it up, called the timer as I set it up, which was about 1:10, something like that. You guys then finished and went to bed, was it about 2 o'clock, something like that? I'd gone to bed just after I set the recorder up upstairs. You were downstairs. So whatever happened, this recording, because I could work out, having called the time, this is starting at 1:10. I know these noises started quite sort of seriously around about 5:03 in the morning, which ties in with something Charles has said in the past, that 3 o'clock seems to be when stuff goes on there, isn't it?
Well, I've never been there, so I couldn't confirm.
But with
that.
the mattress in the room and stuff, that was...
Oh yes, well that room, there was a lady thrown out of her bed in many years ago, apparently at about 3 o'clock in the morning. She wasn't frightened; she was more annoyed, and it wasn't Sir Clive up there pushing her out of the bed either.
OK, well, let's hear some of the noises then, Howard.
OK, so this was one of the recordings. You say the recorder left upstairs in the small bedroom. It is an old house. Now this one, have a listen. It's something dropping. It could be something falling off. I don't know. Have a listen. Here it comes. Now then, make of that what you will. It sounds like it's something dropping down. It could be, again, and you have to be realistic about this and say, OK, what could that be? Now, that room is sort of under renovation. I think there's work due to take place there at one stage or other. Some of the old plaster is coming off the walls. Now, that definitely could be a chunk of plaster dropping off somewhere.
Well, it could be, and I haven't had time to go up and have a look, but I am going to check whether a piece of plaster has fallen off, though my remembrance of that room is all the plaster has already come off, which is why we're going to have a look at it. But there's 2 clicks before that which don't sound like the heating pipes. I don't know what they are.
And that is unedited, because that's why there's a little gap in between. So you get click, a second click, and then there is the thump. So
yeah, very strange.
And that is a room that people do hear footsteps going along, and it's definitely spooky.
It is. Let's just hear that again, Beth. Yeah,
that makes you jump, Beth, every time it goes on.
Every single time.
Yeah, and it is true as well, that from our own point of view, we were wandering around, not knowing quite what to expect, in small groups, I think, mostly because, I was scared.
Apart from Chris, who's Mr. Brave.
Chris, who was, I'm off to the spooky room, on my own, bye.
Facebook Live.
But yeah, the bottom line is we were maybe a little bit apprehensive that nothing was going to happen, because we wandered around. We sat in the library, we sat upstairs, we sat in the bedroom, we sat in the drawing room, we went up by the corridor where the depressions in the carpet had been seen. There was the chair which had been haunted. I went out. I was brave enough to go on my own a couple of times and just sort of go up the stairs and just in the dark see whether any orbs, lights, any sort of movement, sounds. Nothing, absolutely nothing anyone really reported until 2:30, and then people thought, well, you know what, let's go and get some kip and see what happens. And then things seem to happen in those way after the midnight hour. Yeah. Nothing before to report of.
I think it's a pattern that if you're looking for it and expecting it, nothing happens. It's catching you unawares. That's my experience. So you're thinking about something else. You're rushing in to lock up, or, you're talking to someone, and then suddenly something happens.
We've got some more noises, which I can't wait to hear. What's this one then?
OK, so this is a longer clip, and I think on here there's either maybe some footsteps or voices. It's not the same sort of sound. It's a longer clip. It's over 30 seconds, this one, but you can definitely hear some maybe voices, maybe movement or thumps, or it could be...
It does sound like voices in the distance. This was the same recorder, 3rd floor, that same bedroom, but it just sounds as if there is voices, noises. We'd all long gone to sleep by the time this was.
Here we go.
You both jumped again.
I hadn't heard that at a slam before.
Yeah,
definitely some more footsteps.
Definitely footsteps there. Now, it wasn't Chris, and we're as certain as we can be it wasn't us, because we didn't split up, no one wandering around on their own. It's
funny, it sounds quite muffled though, doesn't it? So it's that's not in that room.
No, it's not in that room. I think it's on the floor below, which so that will be the 2nd floor, the 1st floor upstairs, Charles. Whose rooms are there? Where I was sleeping.
There's nothing below that, it's the hall.
Directly below that, yeah. But the other rooms on that floor.
Oh, the other rooms. Well, sorry, what time do you think...
That was about 3:15, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that is genuinely extraordinary to have captured that. I mean, that's thumping.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, we've got headphones on here in the studio. I don't know if people listening at home could hear the voices, but there's definitely the sound of female voices.
Female voice,
just a snatch of someone talking to each other, like, have you taken the laundry? And just something outside, but there was nobody there because you were
We
all
were
asleep.
asleep at that
You
point.
were on the ground floor
Yeah.
in one room asleep. I was on the first floor up, but very much asleep by
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Wasn't awake at all. I didn't leave the room all night.
It's very strange. Let's just hear those voices
I
again.
don't think I
because
want
it's it
That's
wasn't us.
really
And
weird.
The door as well. I mean, I didn't
There's no
slam
way that could
any
have been
doors.
us,
If I
no.
went through a door, I either just left it open or
Yeah.
just
Well, all the
followed
doors
it.
are open, actually.
Yeah, and that is definitely a door slam to my ears. And
How does a ghost make a door slam, though?
well, let's have a listen. That sounds like footsteps, banging.
It's,
We wouldn't have been talking that loudly anyway, would we?
Not 3:15 in the morning.
no, I mean, you're 2 floors below.
And then coming up here now, it sounds like a door.
Yeah. Yes, the interesting thing is we left all the doors open. You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
All the doors upstairs.
The only
are-
door I shut was the one on the room I was sleeping in. I pulled
Yeah.
that door too, but apart from that,
And
everything was left as it
If
was.
you slammed that door, you wouldn't have heard that.
No.
Way up there on the other side of the
And
house.
I'd been in bed and asleep for about 2 hours by that point. So.
Well, this is a psychic phenomena, but that is amazing.
It is, isn't it? And as I said, in many ways, the evening posed more questions than it answered. I think after a start where we all were thinking, you know what, there's nothing to be heard or seen here. It's just got a reputation, and maybe people hear things and bumps in the night. And by the end, I think all of us who stayed there thought there were certainly things we couldn't fully explain. You know, maybe, certainly maybe that was a bit of pasta. The other ones, though, those particularly that second recording, I'm thinking that wasn't me. That was not my voice. I know it wasn't. I was downstairs. I wasn't making loud noises like that. The only thing I shouted out ever was a bit later on when I was shouting for Chris, and it was just, Chris, are you there? And
That was
I didn't
actually-
slam any doors.
Yeah, that was before those
That was
recordings
about
were
2
taken,
o'clock,
so we know
yeah, exactly.
that's when we went off to bed. Oh, good-o then. Great.
Fantastic.
So when are we going back?
Whatever it is, no, we're planning that as well. But whatever it is, I don't think it's at all malevolent. I think whatever it is going about its business completely unaware that it doesn't have to do it anymore. I think it's almost like
Well,
the
yes.
female voice, like maybe chambermaids, whatever, getting up and doing the things they would have been doing at that time of day to get ready for a busy day in a country house. So I didn't feel anything at all malevolent. I just think it's stuff's there.
That's a comment everybody says, and I can confirm that. The house does not feel frightening.
No.
You may get a little coolness in temperature, but the general atmosphere is very, very warm and friendly. I've never been...
Can I just suggest one thing, that you hide your Halloween stuff, because that did when I was looking through the night vision glasses and
Yes.
walked into one of the spare rooms while I was doing a Facebook Live and was confronted with a skeleton and a scythe and everything, and it turned out to be your Halloween stuff. For a moment, just for a moment.
Did it move? No, that's all right.
I did, though.
Well, there you are then, Beth. Yes. Is it haunted? Or is it a case of, I wonder?
Well, I'm now talking to Terry Kringle because, Terry, you left a cryptic little message on my desk a couple of weeks ago which basically said, "Where is the shark's tooth?"
That's right, I did. And do you know?
Well, there were lots of humorous guesses, as you might expect. For example, it's in the shark's mouth. I Googled it and looked it up on the computer. I couldn't find anything. Is it a particular landmark that we should know about?
Right, well, I'll come clean. It's on the beach at Port Jack. And if you look at the shore there, sticking up, it's a stony shore, is this great big rock. And it goes right up. And when the tide is in, you can climb to the top of this rock, or we did when I was a little boy, and dive in to where the water was still very deep. And we called it, and I don't know whether we called it, or it was a name that was already given to it and passed on to us. It was known to us as the Shark's Tooth. And I got to know it because I was born on the promenade in a boarding house in Douglas, and the great adventure playground for me, which was free of charge, was the whole of Douglas foreshore. And myself and all the other lads and girls, we used to range all up and down the shore, and we used to go as far north to Port Jack. Part of the way we walked there, we had to walk on the sewer that had its used to go out somewhere near a bit further on not the sewer itself, the pipe. It was the one covered over with concrete. And that was a place where I used to take my children and my grandchildren. And I used to say, what we're walking on here is the poo pipe. And I told them that all the poo that came out of this part of Douglas and went out to sea went along there. And, of course, small children, you've got some small children.
Yeah, fascinated with the stuff.
They're absolutely fascinated with their natural functions. And, yeah, that's how I came to know the shark's tooth. And you have to be, I don't know, it's probably not known to that with a lot of people these days. You have to be an old man. And I, as you know, am an old man.
Oh, it's fascinating, though. I'll have to go and see if it's still there, if it's visible, if it's something you can get down to now. But just listening to the way you talked about how you and your friends used to play out there, it was just a different time, wasn't it? That idea that you'd go out to play in the morning, you'd come home maybe for your lunch or dinner, depending on what you called it, and you'd just be gone for hours, wouldn't you?
That's right. You just went away and your parents didn't even say goodbye. You say, go down the shore and play. And off I'd go and all the other kids. And round about dinner time, we came back, driven by the hunger, and then we set off again in the afternoon until it was tea time. As a matter of fact, I became famous as the little boy who fell off the poo pipe.
Really?
Yeah, when the tide was in, the water used to get on the landward side of it, and I was a very small boy, about 4 years old. And I was there, and I was looking over because I'd see a crab down on the shore, on the stones down there. And I was leaning forward, and I just went plunk right in. And as I remember, a visitor, jumped in his trousers and got me out safely. And by this time, one of my cousins, he'd done a runner because he thought I was dead. So this man, it had to say, found out where I lived, found it was Studley House, a short walk along the promenade. And he took me back there and gave me back to my mother, who nearly had a fit.
Oh, my gosh, I can imagine.
Yeah. So that's it, the shark's tooth. No, it must be still there. You'd have to blow it up to remove it, and then you'd just leave a mess. No, I would say it's still there. And you can get down there, as long as you're not as old as me.
Terry, thank you very much.
It's been my pleasure.
Well, we've reached the part of Mee Gindys where we do the fabulous challenge. And once again, we are in the Manx Radio Kitchen.
Favourite spot.
It is a favourite spot. And Howard, you're brandishing something.
I'm always brandishing something, Beth. It's yours, actually. Recognise it.
I do, yes.
It's your hairdryer. And, I thought we'd do... I don't know that we've done this one before. The old Bernoulli's principle, if memory serves correct, which is about the flow of air. And you might have done that. You used to have little toys you could do. In fact, we might try a little toy with you in a minute. But see if we can demonstrate it with this first. So this idea with the flow of air, or it works with the flow of water, that it will keep a ball in the air. So if you have a hairdryer like this, and it works, again, if you've got a jet of water, it works the same way, and you have a ping pong ball, thus, you should be able to float the ping pong ball on the stream of air.
So you're going to just show off now, basically, are you?
Hopefully. Might
Okay,
not work.
right, well, let's go. I'll just stand back a little bit.
So we turn your little hairdryer on.
Okay, so he's got his ping pong ball. He's just balancing it above the hairdryer, and it is, as the video on the Max Radio Facebook page will attest to, floating in the air. Well, that's excellent.
Well, there you go. And yes, I can't remember, someone will tell me more about it. I remember doing this at school, actually, years ago, the Bernoulli principle, and it's something to do with the fact it's airflow. So when you put the ball like this, a sphere in the air, the airflow around the outside is going faster than the flow underneath, I think, and it then keeps it, pushes it from either side equally in, so it keeps it in the middle. And I believe the same principle is used for pitot tubes, I think, on aircraft, which, if you ever look at an aircraft, and you'll see like a little nozzle coming out the side, bent at sort of right angles, and that goes into the airflow. And I think that tells them, I can't remember if it's the airspeed or the height, one of the two, but the pitot tube on the aircraft uses the same principle as this. I remember that.
Fantastic. We're going to do something else then, are we?
Well, yeah. Should we swap over? So I thought it would be, seeing as I'm always doing these and you seem to get off scot-free, I thought, why not do a manual one where we'll do it the other way around and we'll get you to actually lie down. And what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm game for most things. Oh, I see.
Don't stick it anywhere.
And I'm just going to use this.
Yeah.
So what?
And so you're going to use the tube. So if you lie down, put the tube in your mouth and then put the ball on top. Here we go. And then we should now blow carefully and see if you can keep it in the tube. That was pathetic.
We should have practiced this.
Here we go. Right. Try again. Well, it's sort of... Yeah. Right. Bit of practice needed. Here we go. This will be the one. Ready? Oh, almost. The tube might be a bit big for your mouth. It was going then. It was going until you started giggling.
I didn't giggle.
Oh, right.
I'm just sitting here thinking, what on earth am I doing?
Last attempt. Here we go. And then we... Oh! It was going there, wasn't it? You're getting the hang of it then.
Right, I'm going to practice this.
So there we go. It's sort of... I think we need a bit of practice and a smaller tube and you'd be good with that.
And there is a wonderful video that will be available on the Manx Radio Facebook page to accompany that. There are no more words. I'm going to take that device home, Howard, and practice getting the ball up in the air on my own.
Well, I think the problem was, to a degree, I think, I was looking for a smaller bit of piping, and I thought there'd be something around here. And, of course, you can never find a technician or an engineer around here when you want one, because they're always busy climbing aerials and things. So, I brought something which was the best I could find from home, but it was, to be fair to you, a little bit sort of broad in its diameter, so you couldn't get a thin enough airstream going.
That was
smaller
it.
pipe, and you'd probably find it much easier. So if I can get something smaller tubing for you, and ping pong ball, and I think you'll find your ball will be in the air.
Cannot wait. We've reached the part of the programme where we take a delve in the Manx Radio archive. What do we got today?
Well, we've actually gone, we're going fairly high-tech, realistically. We often, there's various formats kicking around at the station, aren't there? There are certainly a few LPs kicking around. There's lots and lots of reel-to-reel tape, although that's not that easy these days to actually play, because, of course, you need a reel-to-reel player. There's some mini discs and cassettes we've been using quite a bit, which is handy. But today we've gone high-tech, and we are going for a CD. So let's see what happens.
My mother wore a pinny, yellow, green or pink. My mother wore a pinny slapping dishes round the sink, to clean and polish lino and shake the mats outside. My mother wore a pinny round the fireside. My mother wore a pinny while mashing up the spuds, when baking cakes and bonnig and roly-poly puds. My mother wore a pinny hanging out the wash, long-legged knickers, nothing very posh, mending holy socks, ironing on the table, knitting by the oil lamp, pearl and plain and cable. My mother wore a pinny when calling us from play. How I remember mother in her pinny every day.
Island Love by Sharon Collins. Someone will know someone who knows. Someone who knows him feeds you stories of his past, in detail every sin. No mystery, no secrets, nothing left to discover. And yes, you've a close friend who is his former lover. Does the intrigue of a new love
I recognise anyone there?
survive?
I don't, actually.
It's from a CD which I pulled out, National Poetry Day 2006, Island Love, which has got a bit of Sharon Collins there, and My Mother by Winifred Rosevere.
Lovely poetry there, and it's always great to have a look in the Manx Radio archive. There is just a whole heap of history in one room, and it's an oral history which we're really, really fortunate to have.
It is, because it's the only place I think that actually exists. There must be something within Manx National Heritage as well, but there is, as you say, it's a treasure trove, and it is gradually getting sorted. I think our own Jude is going through sorting all that out.
She's been amazing, so all of that is being categorised, and as we say, it really is a national treasure As is Jude, really. Can you call her a national treasure?
Well, I don't see why not, yes. I called Charles Guard a national treasure the other day and he didn't object.
Did he not? Next week on the programme, we're going to stay with the spooky theme because we've been to some wood which people say is a haunted one. Find out what happened.
We are indeed. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more mysteries as we wonder, you wonder, I wonder. Mee Gindys.